Oh my God! I was just about to. I almost belched as an intro.
That
That's
was an
high,
awesome.
that's the
Oh, it
high
is Tenkar's
quality.
Tavern, Eric.
Yeah, we real tavern. Yeah, that's the high quality that we bring you here with the random party generator. High quality belching. Um, Folks, I am Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. Uh, with me, stage. What is this? Right, left? I never get that right because.
Right.
All right. Stage whatever is the one and only Rob Conley, Mister Bat in the Attic, and and I would like to say for the first time, but no, no, Joe is the one that ripped the mask off the chubby funster.
No,
Well, we got to
I
say
have
the,
an
say the
interview with
second
you
time.
way back when I released Terra Invictus on Ambition and Avarice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so all I'm gonna say is I'm alerting Foogly. Yeah, Foogly. There you go. All right.
There you go.
All
Start
facing.
sketching, Fugly.
So
He has a beard now, so you have to work that in.
yeah.
Or maybe he's the mirror universe, Greg.
Well,
Oh.
I only I get it out to a certain point and then I shave it off. So depending on where you are in my shave cycle, I am what I am. I don't have a well manicured Santa Claus beard like some people.
Well, you have to catch it on the latter part of my cycle for the Santa Claus. You know, it goes. I
Yeah.
mean, I have. I make sure I keep the proper beard trimmer separate from my shaving stuff because when my kids use the kit, stuff gets lost.
Well,
Kids, losers.
apparently, apparently, I was well groomed yesterday because somebody actually said, "Wow, looking sharp. It looks like you groomed yourself for this episode." So,
Nice.
nice. So, folks, just so you know, this hair has not
Oh
been
god.
cut since. Oh my God, I didn't do this in a long time. Has not been cut since last May. So it's almost 12 months. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you
All
gonna
right,
are you gonna at least get a trim before you come to the con in Texas?
probably. I actually had a dream that I was gonna. It's like it raised the same day I dreamt I stepped in shit in my bare feet outdoors. I also dreamt that I was getting my hair cut. So I guess
A strong association for a
yeah,
psychologist to examine.
I don't know what it means, but it means something. I swear to God. So we've had a busy week in the in gaming. But busy 2 week. No, we didn't have a show 2 weeks ago. We've been away for a month, so there's a lot of catching up to do. But one of the more interesting stories to me, believe it or not, is not the Goodman Games story. It is actually the DM's Guild story, where DM's Guild, by the way, folks, is run by One Bookshelf, but WotC is the main force behind it. They used to say you had four ways to publish for D&D. One was a direct license from WotC, and then they tell you you're not going to get one, so it's not a common way, but it's a way. The OGL with the SRD, the Creative Commons with the SRD, and the DM's Guild. And then sometime this year, they erased the OGL as a common way to publish for D&D, but the numbering of 1, 2, 3, 4 was now 1, 2, 4. So they removed something and couldn't even properly cover their
That's
track.
the kind of excellence in graphic design that they bring to the table.
Well, I mentioned this before. It's like the same intern that initially put the disclaimer on all the legacy products, the one that didn't even know that it was Dungeons and Dragons, not Dungeon and Dragon.
Oh wow, I didn't know about that even.
Oh yeah, it was horribly written, and it's like 'cause it happened on like the holiday weekend. So I was like, oh, well, I guess the intern was here doing this for you. I got to make somebody get the lowest intern we have. Who can we afford to pay to do work on a weekend?
Well, I'm sure that it just smacks of being on bureaucratic rails because technically they only have 3 ways on the current version because they never released the 2.5 OGL version. They just have the Creative Commons, the direct license, and the DM's Guild. So they're like technically correct, but uh, not a good. They should be smarter. Not hard. It's not rocket science.
Well, whenever somebody announces something late in the week, either they don't know what the hell they're doing, or they're intentionally trying to bury it because,
Right.
yeah, I was trying to find it in my profile. I had shared it from Pulp Hammock, like the guys that brought you Gods of the Forbidden North. He had written a big post. It was a Kickstarter update that he posted on Twitter, and I reshared it. I'm going to put it in the private chat for you to drop out here, Eric.
Okay.
And it's basically everything he learned about timing and how to set up stuff on Kickstarter to be as successful as possible. So great tips, but the main tip is do everything on Tuesday. At the beginning, it's like Tuesday is the day to do things. And then to close, one of them is to set up Tuesday as an inverse answer. So if you decide you're going to set your end date for the Kickstarter on a Thursday, it will choose Tuesday as the 48-hour notification. So everybody will get a Tuesday notification that it's about to close in 48 hours. So that kind of like Tuesday is the magic day. So if you're releasing product information on a Friday or Saturday, you don't want anybody to see it, basically.
Well, that makes sense. It really does. I mean, it's like, they announce shit on a Saturday from the presidential for the White House drops some news on a Saturday. You're like,
so nobody will see it. Yeah.
Are we really meant to know about this, or is this just being pushed to the side? Slow news day. Well, I guess the no news day is the weekend. But
that's like an example of what happened with the OGL. I mean, yeah, that used to be true in the 90s, in the 80s, but I think they started noticing that in the 80s. But now that we have, in addition to the major news outlet, 1,000 streams on the internet, that's just old thinking. I mean, you can't. You can't. There's no place to bury anything, unless of course, you elect the Pope, and then of course, your trade deal
kind
gets
of I hate to use this word against you guys. I'm sorry, but boomer thinking of.
I'm not a boomer.
I know it's hard.
What boomer thinking?
I know, but you guys are Gen X. I know, but getting up there, And the idea of the media is going to be the main source of information for people.
Oh yeah.
When they can get tons and tons and tons of information from all sorts of different streams around them, and you can see Wizards of the Coast falling into this trap all the time, like making an announcement, thinking there's going to be nothing that goes around them, that people are going to just take it at face value and not reshare the hell out of it and comment and.
Right.
It's
the weekend. It'll go under the radar. Folks, if you're watching this channel, I produce content 7 days a week. I am insane. I understand that. I've been doing that with the blogs for God knows how long. But I do, there's something going on every day. So there's always something to post about every day. And yes, Foogly, but you're our kind of boomer, Foogs. Okay? You're a very artistic boomer. So, but now, all right, we're talking about.
Well, hold on, Greg.
What?
I'm not. I mentioned the stream. Were you even listening?
Yes.
Okay. Not sure how that would boomer-esque.
No, I'm saying Wizards of the Coast is thinking is like this legacy media thought process of, oh, we'll just do it like this, and nobody will know about it because the only information they're getting is on the 6 o'clock news at the end of the day. Like that's not how information propagates anymore.
Yeah,
No.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I
Okay,
mean,
now I understand. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah,
so
you got to be savvy. I mean, people prize authenticity these days. People, you know, yeah, you got your clicks and they got their bias, but when you're talking, it's a different world. It's
oh,
yeah.
yeah, it is, and it's a 24/7 news cycle, right? We've been in a 24/7 news cycle, if not since 9/11, then at least since the year the Earth stood still in 2020, when you had your death counters going 24/7. People expect to be able to turn on the TV side. It's not when I was a kid and you went to sleep at like, if you went to bed at like 2 a.m., the TVs were all the channels were shutting down for the next 3 or 4 hours. Now everything is 24/7, and if it
Yeah.
isn't, you got the internet.
And
So
it's connected across. Just because we're asleep doesn't mean that people in other parts of the world are asleep at that time. There's still stuff being transferred and shared all over the place.
yeah,
So
I'm, I'm
I got in a debate on N World on a thread
oh,
about
God
Sandbox
bless you.
campaigns and versus narrative first games like Blade in the Dark. And now we go to bed and we're on page 148. I wake up in the morning and it's goddamn page 300. It's like, okay, I can't even keep up.
Yeah, nah, that's okay. Listen, N World can be a very good source of news, and the when we get to, we'll talk about this at some we're going to work our way into the Goodman Games backer kit for the Judges Guild 680 Invincible Overlord, but they
speaking of successful product launches.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah. Hey, can I step on my own penis, please? Could you unroll it for me so I can step on
Oh,
it? And
come
get
on.
started?
Shouldn't we post that now, have that graphic of Ron Burgundy with that little caption? Wow, that
That escalated.
escalated quickly.
Well, all right. So maybe but we're gonna ease our way into it. So, folks, for those who haven't been following along for the last decade, City State the Invincible Overlord was a product by Frog God Games. Oh my God, Judges Guild. Back in the 70s, it's known as the first real setting for D&D. And it's well loved by gamers. Was it an awesome product by today's standards? No. Was it an awesome product by the standards of the time? Yes. Was it
You know what?
principle?
I'm gonna slightly disagree with
I know
you.
you are, Rob. I know I expected
It's
that.
an awesome product for this time. It does need a better layout, but if you,
And it needs to not be printed on newsprint. How about that?
It needs
I
a main
agree
character like
100%.
Zakhar the Destroyer who could come in and win the city state grand championship and kill his uncle. That kind of stuff. That's what it needs now, right, Rob?
What was that last part? Band champion?
Yeah, it needs a Zakhar the Destroyer.
Oh yeah, sure. But here's the original, one of the originals. I don't.
Mhm.
I lost the cover, so I can't tell you which printing this is. But yeah, and then just needs a little bit layout inside. But as far as the scope of the city, it has just the right amount of content. You're going to have to do work,
Right. Oh
connecting
yeah.
some of the elements and
We're,
say you'll come up with a interesting what interests Zakhar, the Viking prince that Greg played. But there's a lot. But of course, if you want to go to the flesh shop, the fear shop, the glutton and gore, yeah, there the fetish shop. Yeah, there's that 70s. That's very 70s.
I want the fetish shop. What about the flesh shop? Yeah, But
But then in the end, they
here's
have stuff like Water Rat Road with the Sea Rover Tavern. the silver fox or diver for hire, the ship magnet, the tar
Rob,
shop.
Rob, I'm not saying it. Listen, for the time, it was an excellent product. For modern sensibilities, there's a reason why Goodman Games is going to redo this for. And when I say modern sensibilities, I'm going to assume that it means they're going to update the product's layout and flesh it out, and not that we're going to have like a coffee shop where people can play baristas. If that's the modern sensibilities for city state, I might have some issues.
Well, I think City State doesn't have a barista because that wasn't really a thing that people were really aware of in the 70s, but it has some pretty close. Not many, but there's dots here and there. Now, the big challenge for Goodman Games on their version is what the hell they're going to do with all the stuff around the plaza of profuse pleasures, because there's some pretty risque stuff in there.
It's not going to age well, and that's the thing. So, Judges Guild kickstarted this project, I believe, in 2014. I'm going from memory. See, it's
That,
2014.
that's the part I would double down on, Rob. I would make the Plaza of Profuse Pleasures, whatever you said. I would make that into the Times Square heart of City State, and have everything going on there, and I'd have a little Tyrion Lannister that would run around and do stuff in the middle of this awesome plaza, and that would be how I would get lots of free press and sell a lot of units.
Yes, but I guarantee yes, I'm sure you can make a very fun, risque, you know, version of that. But yeah, I'm just going to pull up something here and you tell me how a millennial can do with this part here.
So,
The best
okay.
way
Continue talking while I pull it up.
Rob, when you pull it out, can you just make sure it's appropriate for 13 and above? It's a joke, man. It's a joke. Don't. All right.
I don't know.
No. Never mind. Forget I even said it. So, we had gone 5 years without an update on the city state. There was never an official refund policy put into place. There were whispers on social media that if you reached out to Bob and you could prove that you were a backer, he could at some point send you money, or send you money twice, as apparently happened with somebody that's occasionally on this channel. But Mike says, "Whip it out, Rob." There you see, Mike gets my sense of humor. That's okay. But we actually got an update yesterday from Judges Guild. Now, I think the 11th of the month would have been 5 years. So we'll give them credit. We'll give them credit for a full 5 years of no updates, nothing on the Kickstarter, because if you update on the Kickstarter, every backer gets notified. If you just talk about it on social media, only people wired in get notified. But this is the point that I think gets overlooked by many people. The city state will live on and see an all new generation of players who, like yourselves, love the Wilderland setting. But this project and the maps can no longer be produced as presented because the funds are now elsewhere. I don't know how else to put it, but elsewhere is they are gone. They've gone to Canada. They are on Musk's next trip to Mars.
That's just a diplomatic way of saying we blew it all. That's just.
Yeah.
Oh man, look at that great formatting. That is. Great.
I want to reprint exactly like that. Oh.
Okay. So we have the flesh shop, the fear shop.
Joe
the
the
real
lawyer
kicker.
could build out 10 or 15 more of these entries here in short order.
Yeah, but here's the one that I don't think it's going to fly: the beta slave.
Oh.
Yeah, you see what I'm getting at, Greg?
No, I'd still include it. I'd
Or the
include it
grocery
in
shop?
Shadow Sun if I was redoing it. I'd add this there for you, Rob, so you could talk about how it shouldn't be allowed or whatever. Somebody can. I mean, you're not really
I don't
you're not a
know.
banhammer type of person, but I'm saying, so people could complain about it, and then they just move more units for whoever they're complaining about. The idea
Hey,
you're going to cancel somebody over something is, I think it's a thing of the past now. Just put whatever it is in and move on.
no,
Well,
but now
If somebody whines, just punch them.
when you read
considering
the
the
description, by
inspiration
the
for
when you read
Shadow
the description,
Sun, if you had something like, first of all, it was Shadow Sun. I don't think it would be in a joking manner. I mean, it would be fitting with the setting. Shadow Sun is kind of like a serious setting. You know,
Yep.
this is clearly in the Gonzo side of D&D. But for today, many people today, this is not, Gonzo is supposed to be fun. This is not. This may be fun in the '70s. This is not fun now. If that makes sense.
I don't know. I'm telling you, could you move a lot of units, Rob?
Okay.
I know moving units is not really Wizards of the Coast's objective in how they make decisions, but some people like to move units. Yeah, I mean there was once a culture of let's try to sell things to people that they want to buy. Like
no,
that
why would
used
you
to
want
be
to
the
do that?
culture of a company, but that culture has faded away. And,
Well,
uh,
here's the thing I'm noting. I noticed. Okay, so in the beginning, there were slaves in city state, and in high school and stuff, player it was rare, but you know, players dealt with slave and slavery. But over the years, it just it started at you. Okay, city state had slave. I know that, but they didn't want to deal with slave, and then it became to the point where usually when my campaign, if you remember, Greg, when we started the city state, we talked about the different places where we could play in the majestic waterland, and then we settled on city state. But when other groups are presented with that, they go city state. That's the place with slaves, right? No, let's pick this where they don't have slaves. They didn't want to deal with slavery at all. And it wasn't just because they were woke or anything like that. They just didn't want to deal with it anymore. It was really a slow change over the decades.
I mean, I'll just be brutal about it. I think that's just weakness of people. I mean, I ran a play test for that vampire adaptation I'm working on for Shadow Dark, and one group didn't get into this location, but there's a location where there's a secret dogfighting ring in the basement of a biker bar, and they went in there and they saw that it was there. They dealt with certain things. They ended up setting it up to call the police to come in and break it up. But if you don't have a dogfighting ring in a bar, you can't be the person who ends it
Right.
either.
No.
So they could have chosen to take over the business as vampires and just extract gambling revenue from their, hidden dogfighting ring. They didn't do that. I think you have to give people a chance to be good. If you take away all the opportunities to fight evil, then you're not good. You're just neutered.
Oh, I agree, Greg. I'm just I'm just telling what I run Sandbox campaign, so it's all about what the players choose to do. It's just something I noticed with the players that as time went on, the idea that it just slavery wasn't fun. It was just it either was always a bad thing that had to be fought, or you know.
Yep. Super chat, but then I got something to say to Rob back there.
Mhm. Yeah, Death Angels. I bet a warning page is going to be included before the reprint section of the OAR book for the modern audience and their squeamish fifis. That's a guarantee. I'm not taking that bet. I can't take that bet
Well,
because
I can tell you, even to my 12-year-old self, first reading City State, all those shops on Hidden Street made me roll my eyes. Like, okay, okay, that's a little over the top.
I just think we've moved to the point now where we don't have to make a product that appeals to everybody, for sure. And there's going to be a niche of people who are like Joe the lawyer who want to go roll on a harlot table. And if you include that, then they'll go do it. I think that's just the way it is. And we're looking at, I don't think people, especially guys in our generation, I don't think a lot of them realize how the young men growing up are, for lack of a better word, based as hell and hardcore brutal. I mean, like they're not squeamish, care about my feelings millennials. They're coming in hot. And
I see that with my son. Yeah.
I think if you want to connect with that kind of thing, let's just say we'll skip over the millennial generation and sell to other people. Yeah, I mean, why should everybody be held hostage to the feelings of some weak, pathetic people who can't even bear to read about slavery? They're going to complain. Oh, it has slavery in your book where we stab people in the face. Oh my gosh, what kind of morals is that? I mean, we're killing people all the time in this game, and they're worried about enslaving people. Like Tim makes jokes that I always ask for manacles. I ask for manacles so I don't have to kill everyone. Okay,
Right.
Well, okay, so
I'm
here's why I rolled my.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm saving lives out here, folks.
So here's why I rolled my eyes back in the day, because it felt gratuitous. Okay, it felt gratuitous in the way, in hindsight, that Dark Sun take on slavery didn't feel ungratuitous.
I see the distinction you're making. I definitely see the distinction you're making. I think people who have that kind of view about slavery are foolish. Now, there's a lot of people who might have that view about, I don't want to open the door to sex in my game, and you can have that. I don't generally involve sex in my game at all. I mean, you guys have played with me. I'm not trying to score.
No,
But
I find you attractive in a totally hetero way, man.
oh yeah, thanks. But I'm saying, like, there are people who want that. There are people who want to do all kinds of stuff that is not the way I play a particular game.
Sure.
Oh
There you
gosh, wow, Fugly. That's Fugly's art?
Yep, grown and the barbarian. That is you, sir.
All right, well,
Yeah, don't worry, Greg. You got one of me too.
Guy, he's got a couple of you, I'm pretty sure.
just being caricatured means people care. I'm
I,
honored.
In my majestic fantasy realm, Greg, the Ochre Empire practiced slavery. I mean, so it's not like slavery is unknown to my setting.
Yeah, it's like somebody using their device made by slaves in China to complain about other people's morality. I just think it's ridiculous. They're hypocrites to care about this stuff at all.
You got Rach on that one. She got her wholehearted agreement on that.
Hold on while I get my slavery assembled silicon device here, and I'll.
Hold on, I got mine. I don't want to pay $3,000 for it, so I guess more Uyghur work needs to be done. That's a horrible way to say it, but the reality is, it's funny. There's this always the saying in the United States that you shouldn't judge other cultures by your morality when the person saying that doesn't want that other culture to be judged by that, but then they're very happy to judge it by their own morality for some other culture. When it's well, I don't like the way they treat X. Like, but you don't care how they treat Y? Don't make me think. No, don't make me think.
Well,
It's always complicated and nuanced. And I
talk a big game, and then you look at what neighborhood did they buy their house in? Where do they send their kid to school? Where do they spend their time hanging out? What church do they go to? Whatever the thing. What is it that they're actually doing with their life? That's what they really believe. What they say on the internet doesn't mean jack fuck all.
No, that's all just for scoring points and puffing their chest out. That's got very little to do with reality. But so when Goodman Games announced the new backer kit version of City State of the Invincible Overlord, he excitedly put up I don't know, placards, posters at Dungeon Con, which was held in the Goodman Games warehouse, and the announcement came out, and he said he was excited, and he announced it, and then they didn't actually have a. He announced it to the crowd, and the crowd, of course, took photos, and then everybody saw, holy shit! And then, to put it bluntly, lines were drawn. Okay, it's almost like a game of I don't know, dodgeball back when you could
And more,
play
and more
one game.
importantly, the lines weren't drawn just left and right. I
No,
mean,
no,
they cut across the
yeah,
entire
they cut across lines, but generally the lines. There were people. There were people who had a moral issue with Goodman doing what appeared to be a new license with Judges Guild to have a product come out that has failed to produce anything for nearly 1,000 backers on Kickstarter over the course of a decade. And then you had the other line was, I want this product. Fuck you. I don't care what you say. And you're a whiny bitch for complaining about it.
Yeah, there were the dividing line seemed to be those who were really good fans of, really great fans of the DCC RPG and all what Goodman Games made, and those who were not, I'd say, hate Goodman Games, but didn't obviously did not have as much invested in
Right.
there.
So, and it became, depending on where you went, if you went to Big Purple, it was a bloodbath. RPG Net, for those that don't know what Big Purple is. Um,
A
uh,
wretched hive of scum
And
and villainy.
and the RPG site just has had much criticism of uh, of Goodman Games as well.
yeah, and then you had, I think that the tipping point was when N World came out with their article, and listen, when Morris does some very good work. When when he bites onto something like a dog on a bone, and he's like, "This is my bone, and I'm going to get to the marrow." He does, and this is one that he does, and he did not hold back in his post covering Rob's initial revelation. What is it? A decade ago now, Rob? 6 years ago? I forget.
Uh, 4 years ago,
Or
2020.
well,
I don't know. It's on the top of the list, folks. Just search for Concerning Judges Guild and you'll
yeah.
find it.
So
Got 1,000 views in the last 3 days.
if I broke out my magic 8 ball, it would probably give conditions murky. Try again later, because Goodman Games wasn't coming out with any kind of announcement, and the only information we were getting from anybody of any connection was from Aaron Bledsoe, one of Bledsoe Jr.'s children, who was saying, yes, Goodman Games licensed this. Yes, they licensed other stuff that's in the works, and it was just stirring the pot. So I'm glad that Joe Goodman. Uh, I think he could have released all the information at once, but there's another update from earlier today, which explains that the monies are going to make anything that would have been going to Judges Guild, we're going to make the backers whole. And there'll be some compensation on the backer kit for the original backers. They haven't detailed what that is yet. A lot of people are claiming it's a PDF, but we don't know that, so we can't say that. But
So, what's an interesting contrast here, Eric? If you
Mhm.
go to the initial announcement and look at the video that he linked on that post, everybody has smiling face, everybody looks happy, and then you switch to the video he links on today's announcement. Not a happy camper.
No, well, I mean, honestly, um, I don't believe that was expecting the response that they got. And again, I covered it. I'm not taking credit for it. I am a small YouTube channel. I don't have the reach of N World. When you're hitting, when you're hitting a front page posting by Morris, who owned
Who
and marketed,
didn't bury the lead?
what's up?
He did not bury the
Oh, no,
lead.
he did not bury the. He came out and said somebody stepped on their dick. Let's find out how. And I was like, oof. Okay.
Yeah, and the whole reason I didn't have to write basically the situation speaks for itself. We don't need to pile on. I mean, once that N-World article come up, it pretty much summed it up. The fact that we had that the Judges Guild CSO Kickstarter backers are going to be made whole is a definite win
Yes.
by any standard. But when it comes to Joe in his first follow-up post said he was faced with two choices. Well, my choice was to shit can my Majestic Fantasy Realm, to shit can my revised edition, and to chart my own course. He made the other choice. And that's all I got to say about that.
No, that's good. We're gonna have a random guest joining us.
Oh boy. I bet it's Bad Mike.
One sec, let me get him.
I'll be his history fact checker, or I'll be his Rob AI for history, RPG history. If it's bad,
RPG history fact.
I got a new
not
picture
fact
for
checker,
Rob
because
AI.
he wasn't. I didn't fact check him. I supply him with information.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry, Mike. That is incorrect. Oh wait, I'm hallucinating. It was wait. I don't know. Sorry. Chat GPT Rob. There we go.
Where's this mystery guest?
I sent him the link.
He's taking his time in the green room.
He's getting him. I just heard a dink. Hold on. He had to get himself all sexy.
I had to eat dinner first.
Hey.
Hey guys.
Just so you know, Mike, D&D was released in 1974.
I knew this, I think. So I have a theory. I don't know if you guys, Greg will agree with me. Eric's already heard the theory. So pull the curtain back. I've had business dealings with Joe. I'm very well. When Joe was doing his Appendix N stuff, he would sell Appendix N books at Gen Con. I was one of those guys that would run out to bookstores and find them for him. I probably shipped him, oh my God, a couple hundred books over a 2 or 3 year period, and he paid me. We agreed on, and it was fun. It was like treasure hunting. It was fun to know the books went to Gen Con for people to buy. It was really cool. It was very very cool thing Joe did. So I have nothing against Joe, but I look at this situation, and I think Joe is a really good businessman, and I think he looked at what happened with 4th edition, and he realized he got screwed, and he said, that's not going to happen again. I'm making my own game, and I think that was really smart.
Oh yeah.
And the run up the game, he played that PR masterfully.
But for me to believe that Joe posted this and had no clue there would be any sort of backlash or flip out or blog post.
I think he underestimated. I think he underestimated the response.
I think he floated a trial balloon. I think he floated it just to see if people maybe didn't remember it or didn't think about it. And unfortunately, people did remember, and they still talk about it. And once N-World posted the article, it was game over, because then it was. So I find it hard to believe that if he really thought something like this would happen, he wouldn't have had this response ready to roll. And I know he did not have this response ready to roll, because if he did, he would have posted it. He would have led with this. He would have said, "Look, we're going to do something really cool, but I'm going to let you know if you have any issues. Here's the two issues people have. Number one, the Kickstarter failed, $85,000 to almost 1,000 backers, and there's no hope that really they're ever going to all be paid back because the money was blown by Bob III. Number two, the people running the company, Judges Guild, have a reputation, and we all know what the reputation is. So those are the two things that Joe should have known he was going to have to address right off the bat. And for him not to think about that, I find it hard to believe, guys. I really find that hard to believe that he just was so blindsided by this.
Oh, yeah. I like you. When I say that, I don't think he expected this huge reaction. I think he was hoping for a minor reaction. And you know what? This was the old school, no internet, no social media, no vlogs. Maybe you would have snuck under. But the reality is, that's not the situation today. And you don't
it's
think,
like what they say. It's a global marketplace. It's a global blogosphere now.
Well, hold
Everything that
on,
happens
guys.
is
I
going to be out
mean,
on social media.
he does have 101,160 people sign up on BackerKit. So, I mean, how many of them actually know what's going on?
Well, I don't think. I bet all. I mean, less than half. I run into people since this has been going on. I've been asked to give some information because I do have information about the Frog God Games part in it, and Rob knows that whole story too. Actually, Eric does too.
Mhm.
And so, I've asked people have said stuff like they just didn't know, and they're like, oh, I thought that Frog God owned the rights to. No, we didn't. We did, and I tell people, here's what we did, just to make it straight. So, if you think going back 10 years, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know the whole foundation for this, where this
Is
came
Frog
from.
God still selling Tego Manor?
Only what we have in the warehouse. We don't have any rights to ever reprint it, and we wouldn't plan on doing it anyway.
Okay,
But
because
if there's any left, in the
because of the
warehouse,
backlash,
which
you were
honestly there
stuck
might
with the
not
ware.
be. There may not be any left. I mean, it may be completely sold out. And by the way, it's a beautiful book. It's absolutely gorgeous book.
Mike, I don't
Oh,
see
yeah.
what's stopping you from releasing Beagle Manor for Shadow Dark.
oh,
I'll leave that for you're the Shadow Dark expert, Greg. I'll leave that for you, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, don't let it die. Just put on a new skin and carry
it was a
on.
slap.
You know?
It was a slap in our face. We did such a good job with Tinkle Manor, and to have the comments by the Bledsoes come out right after that, and our sales went that was just, it was very upsetting because we spent a lot of time, and Bill Webb is a gigantic fan of Judges Guild. I am too. And we wanted to do more stuff.
Mike,
it would have been great.
when you had the warehouse, you used to have like the biggest physical collection of Judges Guild material in the world. You could have during COVID, you could have supplied toilet paper to Irving, Texas.
Don't
and
think I didn't go over there and grab a Heroes and Villains a couple times to use. No,
Wait, did you buy out the entire one of the spare warehouses that Judges Guild had?
no. So in the 90s, 5 people in the DFW area. One of them, I can't remember the guy's name. They bought basically a semi-truckload of Judges Guild stuff. And when it got to Dallas, they divided it 5 ways, and they all took it. And he went to eBay and started selling. And it was basically everything that was in the Judges Guild warehouses all through the 80s that they didn't sell. About 2006 or 7, he used that money. He made a lot of money doing that. He used that $50,000 or $60,000 he made to start a business. And he still had about 200 boxes left that he didn't even open them. And so I don't know. I met him through a friend of a friend, and he said, yeah, I'll sell it for this amount. And I thought, that's too much. And then the next year I contacted him, how much you sell it for? I'll sell it for this amount. He went down a little bit. I'm like, still too much. And by the 3rd year, he's like, just come get it all. And here, and just, I'll sell it for this much. And it wasn't very much, but he just wanted to move it out of his warehouse. It was taking up space.
Now,
And
did
so
it have?
I had over 200 boxes of brand new Judges Guild. Now, of course, the kicker is none of it was really, really valuable. There was 2 boxes that were cha-ching. One was an entire box full of Book of Treasure maps. And I think the other box had one of those packs. They had like 4 or 5 items in it that are really hard to find. But other than that, it was just all common stuff. I still have like 800 copies of some of those Judges Guild Traveler modules.
Oh,
But I suspect at times I did not hear of anybody having that much. I think when I first got it, I may have had more Judges Guild. Now, not a variety. I didn't have a variety of stuff. I just had, these 30 titles, and I had a lot of them. Judges Guild Journal 19. I probably had 500 copies of. So they've been slowly sold over the years. I've run out of stuff. I'm running low on stuff. You're running out, but yeah, it was. So I'm a huge Judges Guild fan. I love the whole aesthetic of it. I love the newsprint, the cheapo newsprint, the bad art, the Kevin Symbiote beginning artwork that's terrible. I love it. I just love every part of it, and to have what happened, and Bill Webb does too. By the way, Bill Webb. So Frog God Games, when they were back with their Necromancer game, he published the Wilderlands box set, which is impossible to find now. It's a third edition updating of the box set. It's I think you probably pay $500 for it if you found it on eBay. And we published a few things, a few other items, but we had a good relationship with Bob Jr. and Bob Sr. Actually, Bob was still a senior, still alive. And Eric knows how all that went down. It's just one day, I think it was Rob. Was it Rob that noticed his post social media?
it was my fault. Yep,
It was
I
Rob's
was going through Facebook, and one of Bob's posts, one of his egregious posts, posted up on my feed, and I go, "What the hell?" So I started looking at his Facebook feed, and every 3 or 4 was anti-Semitic or racist. And then I called him to say, "What the heck?" And I'm not going to go and blow by blow of the call, but the stuff he was saying I haven't heard since the 70 when I was a kid and had older relatives say it, and it sounded like out of the that Russian propaganda thing, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which I knew from reading history what it sounded like, and I told him that we can't do business, and once the royalties are that you owe me that are fulfilled, I'm shutting down, and I'm not doing any future project, and I'm going to call the other third-party people, which were Goodman Games and Fraud God, what I discovered, and so I did.
And that was the end. The beginning of.
And
Rob was the first one.
So I contacted them. I wasn't going to post about it, but Eric, you posted first. But I had a post ready. I knew what I was going to say if it got public because it's right there on his Facebook page. Wasn't hidden or anything. So, and then when it got out, I made my post, and that was that. And ever since then, I was public enemy either number 1 or 2 for.
It was very unusual, Rob, because he was. A lot of times when you have a situation like this, the person tries to obfuscate it. They try to say, "Oh, I didn't really mean that," or "Oh, no, I'm going to take all that down or hide it." That wasn't the case with the Bloodsaws at all.
No, he doubled down shortly
thereafter.
When I saw that, it's like,
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to be defending myself, justifying why I'm picking on, Bob Bloodsaw.
Yeah, there was no mistake here. Yeah, no mistake here. It was. This is what I believe, and some of my best friends are Jews, and then they went from there. And so.
And if any of you listening to this have to deal with the situation, what I did was stick to the facts, told it from front order, didn't try to embellish it, didn't try to take advantage of it. I just said to the fact, this is what I was going to do, and what happened. And basically, it wound up, I had to shit can my stuff. And I'll be right back, but continue on, guys. But
it's hard for all of us because Rob's a huge Wordlands fan, huge Judges Guild fan also. But so when this happened, so at the time. Goodman Games, along with Janelle Jaquays, was going to publish a gigantic retrospective, one of those big, giant
Yep.
tabletop books they do. It was all the stuff that Janelle had done for Judges Guild, because that was really her, her best stuff. Dark Tower, Caverns of Thracia, the first 6 issues of Dungeoneer, Book of Treasure Maps. That's all, Janelle with this incredibly creative period, from the ages of 18 to 25 or whatever. And so, Joe was in a pickle then, because that was about to come out. And here was the guy that that they had to license from. So they had a video, which you can still find, right, Eric? It's still out there.
You can still find it. And I wanted to address a comment real quick from Zach Zander going, yeah, you were the victim. Listen, every publisher that was associated with Judges Guild was a victim. Honestly, if you worked with Judges Guild, the social media backlash was a shotgun effect, and you were going to
you had to have immediate response, which you were going to do. You couldn't fiddle fart around and say, well, let's see how things go, because as Rob said, he doubled down on everything.
Right.
Yeah, and so just to briefly end what I was saying, so I just got this done. I drew up a full-scale version of the main campaign area of the Majestic Waterland. I worked on for 5 years on this map. And it was going to be the centerpiece of my next project. And I just got this done, just like you guys. Fraud God just came out with Tegel Manor.
Yeah.
So, derp, here it is. This is only one of 2 copies it's ever going to be. Like, thank you.
Rob, that's why I said earlier about making Beagle Manor. I mean, like, don't be defeatist about it. Just pick up and move on. If Kelsey was revealed tomorrow to be some kind of horrific monster, I wouldn't be like, well, that's the end of Chubby Funster. I'm out. I just move on to something. Don't adjust the map, change the names, do whatever.
Well, I was damn lucky, Greg, because I didn't have the license in 2009, and I went to Joseph Goodman and said, my ulterior motive for the project was the box set. No offense, Bad Mike, but it was just way too expensive for the average gamer.
It was.
And I really wanted to promote the idea of hex crawl formatted setting, with the numbered hexes and the layout that we did in that thing, but in a more easily user-friendly. So I went to Joe and we worked on together and came out with Points of Light. And I would say, I'm going to take all these ideas that I did for the Majestic Waterland, and I'm going to put it into this setting. And so I was working on it, and then one day I did the city-state of the Sea Kings map, and Bob Jr. said, okay, how much do you want me to charge? How much you want to charge for this map? And I said, you know what? I'll do it for free. Just give me a license to use this part of your IP. I need the map. I need the right to use the name. I don't want to reprint the books. I want to do my Majestic Waterland. He said, sure. So we signed a contract. It's like hell. I don't have to redraw shit. I can just use my original notes. And it just saved me a lot of time. Then I found out I still write pretty damn slow. So things still came out slowly, but at least I was working with the stuff my raw notes. But when this all came down,
there's no copyright over the shape of the continent, right?
No, it's a piece of
no
art.
way for them to block that. So
it's a piece of art, Greg. Yes, there is a copyright in that.
I still think you could adjust it. Switch things around until you can do it. I just, I'm not trying to pick on you. I just don't let some setback hold back your whole thing. Seeing you hold that map makes me sad. Find a way to.
Okay. I'll make you unsad.
Well, you asked for it. Greg.
This could get real, folks. Be prepared.
Wow.
I have no idea what's happening next.
Rob's going to come out in a tutu, but it's going to be tasteful. Very, very tasteful. Oh, never mind.
That's right.
And sorry if I interrupted, but so Tim's always good. Rob, I'm glad this happened. You get to show what you can do. So this, not this right here is the map
Wow.
that I am going to present. And this is just
Beautiful.
a overview map, but here is what they're. Here are the individual maps, and folks, I guess you're getting a preview.
Oh,
That is
gorgeous.
this is actually what you'll be able to order off a drive-through RPG after the end of the Kickstarter. It's going to be 4 maps. These are 2 of them, and this is the actual size because it's that printer that I got that Dawn loves so much. And here are the other 2.
Hold on, I lost it there for a
Well, wait a
second.
second. Didn't somebody there say that they own the whole concept of hex maps? You better check with them first, Rob, because
They own hex maps, buddy.
Volume 3, Original Dungeons and Dragons Outdoor Survival Map. There are 5-mile hexes. I'm
Uh-oh.
covered.
Oh, damn it!
And
They're
I'm
wrong
smart
about
too.
something? What?
Now, if you notice up in here in this corner, it's going to be hard to see. So I'm making sure I'm including a 5th map to make that more user friendly so they can see them all combined.
It's gorgeous.
And
That's
then
incredible.
for each of these maps you see, there's going to be a player map because there are settlements on here that are not common knowledge. And I learned that the hard way with the campaign I'm running. It's like, hey, Rob, what's Capital Belden? Oh, derp, you shouldn't have known about that. But so I made sure that I fixed it up with a player map. But, now I got my own world and I got a continent that I guess will flesh it out until I keep fleshing out that continent until my eyes go bad. And after my eyes go bad, I'm going to make all of this Creative Commons. So, if people like this area of the continent and they have their own idea of what should be there and they want to share it or publish it for money, more power to them. I'll keep working on my stuff, but I'm going to share this all. And I know that's not the typical course, and probably somebody out there is going to rip me off, but so what? There's only going to be one of me, and people know where to get my stuff. And that's just the fact that if I share it, I know it lives on. That's good enough for me.
Got him actually in the living room tonight. I want to change a pace here. I'm not in my office chair, so. But I appreciate you wanting to know that. Gunn is kind of stalky tonight. He missed me.
Yeah, he's curious. He wants to
very
he wants
stocky.
to find out
Very
where people
stocky.
are.
Very stocky. Well, Rob, those maps are gorgeous, and they're incredible. And it's sad that it's sad what happened, but I think it's going to work out. It's going to be cool when those finally come out.
So I want to point out one other thing that the trend asked, I know you can't make money on the maps and your other stuff for Judges Guild, but can you release it for free stuff? At least people get fun out of it that way. Well, it turns out James Mishler told me that he was doing a hexagrapher version of the Waters Mat on his blog, bit by bit, and Judges Guild sent him a C&D.
Gee, I wonder what lawyer did that. Oh.
And James didn't really, after that, all the fun went out for James, and he didn't even want to do it, even if he felt like fighting the C&D. And when he told me that, I took down my wire. Oh, actually, I'm glad I took down my Wireland step, because when that post went up, when Bob owned all of the hex map, there was this thinly veiled threat about my Majestic Fantasy Realm.
Oh, it wasn't.
So I wasn't gonna. And on that site was a replica. It wasn't a photocopy. It was a replica that I drew myself in Campaign Cartographer of the 0.2 mile hexes that they use in the hexagon mapping system. So that's gone now. I don't want to deal with this crap.
By the way, I'm gonna come address the sock puppet. The sock puppet, potentially sock puppet, was put on timeout. If they come back and continue acting like they were acting, they will get a ban. I don't like to ban outright. Maybe somebody's having an episode. I don't know, but just making it clear. I was just like, yeah, come on.
I didn't even see the sock puppet. I'm too busy looking at
Who
my
was the sock
face.
puppet? Who was the sock puppet this time?
Zach
Zan
Sander.
What was his
Uh,
what was his beef? Did he have a beef?
He kept posting that Goodman was excellent, awesome, or something, and we were
judges. Yeah, we were.
I'm not
You know, we were not the ones that were being offended. So why do we care?
I'm not sure if those I've seen those people in a few other chats on social media. I'm not sure if they're Judges Guild loyalists or DCC loyalists because I've seen bad behavior from both those two. And you know, look, most of the DCC people I know are fine people and they're great, but there are some that are just with any game, they're obsessed with it, and Joe Goodman can do no wrong, and
Yeah,
you know that kind of, and DCC
but
is the
I
best
think this
game
was.
ever, and
I think this was a judges guild.
yeah, they're just as bad, and
A
they're
quick
like
turnaround.
you woke a-holes. I can't believe you know you're trying to change everything up and everything's great, and you know how dare you try to cancel. So yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak to those people. You know what? You could talk the shit you want. This is what I did.
Here we go.
I looked at that helpless what that hopeless situation with the from this was before we knew about his post. I mean, obviously they screwed it up business wise, okay. But rather than bitching at them, rather than bitching the fact that I didn't get paid my entire fee for doing the map, I said to Bob, "Look, I'm almost done with all 18 maps." Okay. Well, first of all, I went to Bob and said, "You know what? I did this because I wanted to, but I got this color map of city state that's very accurate. It's in color. Can I offer this to the backers?" And he considered it. He mulled around it. He considered it very seriously. He was touchy in a reasonable way about, let anybody do this. And he agreed. And it went well over the backers. And then I went to Bob and I said, you know, this will not get you all the way to fulfilling the Kickstarter, but it'll be a tangible step. I am pretty close to completing the 18 map because I had the good sense of drawing the whole thing as a huge 5-foot by 8-foot map. So I had like all the coastline done, all the forest done. There was stuff like labeling that I still had to do. And I had, of course, crop it to the individual 18 maps. So there's still some work. And I said, look, I will offer that for free or at cost. The PDFs are free. The POD is at cost. If you're allowed to sell me, and then you can forget what you owe me. And he said, sure. And at the time, I was still going to pay his royalties on top of that. I calculate my sales from the Judges Guild stuff and give him my royalties.
Mm.
And it went over well. Oh, and I said, I also need to write to do a reprint book because these maps are not going to make sense without some text to accompany it. So I don't want to do a rewrite like we did with Necromancer Game. I just want to lay it out nicely for the 21st century. And he agreed. So I did the Wildlands of High Fantasy. And then with Fantastic Wildlands Beyond, I said, Bob, I need to do these monsters. Is it okay, I include some OGL content just for this one section? And he said, sure. So I expanded a little bit. And then with Magic Realm, I thought, you got all these rules in the Ready Ref sheet, and it makes reference to poisons in the Magic Realm. Hey, Bob, am I allowed to take these pages from the Ready Ref sheet and make them format, lightly edit them? So I did that. And then with Fantastic Reach, I included more of the ref sheet. So now with that done, we had a complete reprint of the original Wildlands book set and more because map 6 was only in the City State of the World Emperor. You couldn't get it part of the original series. So I included that as part of Fantastic Wildlands Beyond. And all this time, whenever he talked to me about it or somebody talked to me and said, look, I don't have the capital to make the Kickstarter backers good, but I think we could bootstrap us bit by bit to fulfilling the spirit of the Kickstarter if we do it this way. And then I talked to him about the city state stuff, but he was still kind of touchy about that. But I could see that it was overwhelming for him. So the culmination of all this was the sales I was getting, and I was going to pitch to him, hey, can you let me take a crack at this city state? It still won't get you there, but you're going to be 80% of the way of dealing it, and you can figure out a way to deal with the miniature. Maybe you can even convince them to write off the miniatures, or maybe the few, $500 backers. You can do a deal with them, but all your $40 backers would be covered, and so forth and so on. So I had a plan that I was trying to help him, and he was slowly beginning to trust him. But then I found out what he actually believed on it, what his post, and it's just utter garbage. And I can't work with that. I'm sorry, folks, but I can't work with that kind of somebody who thinks it's okay to post that kind of crap. And I'm not going to do it. And that's where I drew the line. And that's why I came to the cross. So if you're going to criticize me all the line, but that's where my line is. And I think I'm more than proven I was looking out for their best interests.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody has any issue with what you did, because at this point nobody wants to work with him. So it's not like you're unique in that. Nobody wants anything to do with that. Well, except for Joe and DCC, but that may be a sunk cost, because from what we're hearing, Eric, right, it sounds to me like this sale was part of an earlier licensing. This isn't something
what it sounds like. I don't know for sure, but it certainly sounds like this was all licensed at one time. Well, Joe says he was sitting on it for years. So, yeah.
I mean, he had those DCC RPG 10th printings in the Wildlands coming, or they had to have been printed years ago.
Good point. So they were released at Dungeon Con.
Yeah.
But they were 10th printings, and that's like from 2021 or something like that.
Right. They were old printings, but they've never been released. But I mean, that's so the leads goes back to the question we're asking: is this something that he was just going to set aside, waiting for people to forget, or I mean, why is this now? Why is this happening now?
Sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, Rob, take the ball.
Stupidity.
No, all I can say is I can't. I'm not a Vulcan. I can't do a mind meld. All I can say is he offered. In the first reply to all this, he offered. There was one section where it was kind of thought through, and he said he had a choice of doing option A, which was to say that's done. All this work I did is gone, or I could try to salvage it. All I can say, when I was presented with the same choice, I chose the shit can things and chart my own course. He chose option 2, and now he has to deal with the consequences of choosing option 2.
Yeah. Well, I certainly think you're free, Rob, to not associate with him however you want as a producer. I always just think it's kind of silly to block someone for doing whatever because of their dumb beliefs, because then you get into the business of policing people's beliefs. So I mean, like I totally get it. Like you don't want to be in business with somebody like that, but like Tom Cruise being an absolute nutball has no impact on my appreciation for Top Gun or Mission Impossible. I mean, like I've never understood why people get all worked up about those kind of things.
Well, Greg, all I can say is there is Tom Cruise, and then there's the conversation I had, and they're no way in any way comparable.
Was there a couch? Did anybody jump up on a couch? It could have been fun. All I'm saying is I
understand the humor you're trying to get. I just don't find the situation humorous. I find it tragic. I wish there was any way that I could have made that pitch with bailing out City State to Bob II, and he could have moved on to better and better things. And it probably would have not have been me. It probably would have been with Joseph Goodman, And let's face it, Goodman runs a good shop with, and they're capable people. And I'm just a one-man shop. And I know I do good work, and I appreciate the compliment people give me on that. But there are some projects I don't know if I'll ever be able to tackle. But nonetheless, it would have been a different timeline if he didn't have if he didn't totally and utterly cross the line. And it's not my judgment that ultimately sealed the deal. It was his own writing,
Yeah, but
posted in public
I'm talking
for
about the
all
situation today, Rob, with people freaking out about this stuff still.
because he hasn't apologized.
Yeah, he's in denial. He's
He's
in
not going to
denial.
apologize.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It isn't just his actions from what 4 or 5 years ago. It's the fact that his Kickstarter, which took in $85,000,
That's a big
that
factor to it.
well, it compound. The two things compound. Listen, and I'm not saying if how can I put this politically in a nice way? If you say things horrible on social media that make you look like a large piece of shit, that's one thing. If you fuck people out of $85,000
Yeah.
and your money went elsewhere, that's another thing. You put them together and you get a shit sandwich. And this is literally a shit sandwich of their own making. All right. No, nobody had to assist on this. Again, you could fuck people out of $85,000. Ken Whitman did worse.
I was wondering how long Ken Whitman was going to take.
Bingo card, Ken Whitman.
Ken has done worse, and nobody's going after him with pitchforks, tar, feather, and the such, because well, besides the fact that Ken has essentially left RPGs for now, the community, essentially, I can't guarantee that's going to have to stay that way, but Ken, he said stupid shit. He never said stupid shit about groups of people. Individuals certainly, but groups of people, no. So again, this is one of those unique combinations of if he had said all this shit and he didn't have an outstanding Kickstarter, it would have blown away, and folks probably would never have really thought about it. If he had fucked people out of $85,000 and like other Kickstarters have done this. They've disappeared. Quantum RPG, that was a shit show. Walked away, never to be heard from again. But if they did that and then also made a bunch of
Eric, can you bring up their website, judgesguild.com, please?
Yeah. I mean, the
There's
Wizard,
here's another example why this situation is clearly an exceptional situation.
The Wandering Wizard walked off with a big chunk of change, but he didn't insult anybody except our intelligence when he said that he's an idiot and he lost. Actually, he even apologized for being an idiot, said he was an idiot, and he lost all the money because he's stupid. So I mean, what can you do? Okay,
anybody that would support me in a business in the future,
whoever supported me, you deserve exactly what you got. Nothing, because I'm an idiot.
Okay, scroll down and go to the product page, please.
all right,
hold on. There. That's not. Yeah, you got to go to where their shop is. Okay. Oops, sorry. Go
Store.
on.
Hold on.
All right, scroll down until you see the maps. All right, folks, you see those maps, and there's more, but that serves an example. During the Kickstarter, they only released one map. That's campaign map 1. Both the artistic version and my version. Those maps are not PDFs. Those are print. If you were to order them off the store, you would receive a print copy of those maps. Now go to the next page. I think there's an artistic map on that page. Scroll down.
Hold on. Zoom out. Campaign map?
Yeah, the 11 is artistic. No, not that one. They gave that. They don't owe anybody that map. I think the center one is. No, I guess my map. But the point is, they ordered a print run of all those maps to stock their store. They didn't give those to the backers. They could have, and this appeared around 2021, 22. You can go back to the archive and see when it appeared. So they somewhere have a stockpile of maps that they owe their Kickstarter backers that they never bother trying to distribute.
Oops.
So this is one of the things compounding the situation, Greg.
So we were talking about. So I said the two things that I wanted to hear from Joe. That was making backers whole, even though they weren't obligated to do it. I thought that was the moral thing to do, and explaining the relationship they have with the Bloodsaws and where they're going to make any money. And Joe mentioned both of those, and he said, for one, they will give a discount to backers, which I think is the right thing to do. The original backers, he will give a discount. And I don't know if it's $5 off or I don't know what the discount is yet, but he's not obligated really to give anything. So just giving a discount, I think that's the way to do it. And what I thought was really interesting is Goodman is going to administer the refunds because Judges Guild can't be trusted to put that money there and to pay back Kickstarter backers who want their money back. And so Goodman is going to take care of that account, which I thought was really interesting. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall during that call to Bob Jr. When
how is he going to pay for this? Are we going to rob Peter to pay Paul?
It's going to be, so apparently this is going to be money taken out of the Kickstarter, depending I don't know how much per Kickstarter, but each Kickstarter, a certain percentage of money will be put aside, and that will be put into the refund account. Now,
no, they said it. They spelled it out. They owed Judges Guild royalties from the Kickstarter.
Right, it was going to be
rather than paying them directly. It goes into escrow, and from escrow it goes to the backers.
Which should have been done anyway, because back when we licensed Teagle Manor, the money we licensed to Judges Guild was supposed to go into that fund to begin with. It was supposed to go into that fund.
Now, did Frog God specify an escrow setup?
No, because we fucked up. We trusted them, as they say in Animal House. You effed up. You trusted us. We trusted them, and then we found out that no money went into there, or very little money, and that was part of our arbitration that we won against them because we were, that was part of the deal. Is that this money we're giving you for Teagle Manor is going to go into to make good on the people who lost out on the Kickstarter. And I don't know how much, if any, money ever actually got into there. But so if Goodman ministers the account, I like that because I don't trust the other alternatives. So he seems to have dotted all his I's and crossed his T's here in terms of covering the main issues that people were upset about. Now, there's the one issue, just the fact that he's doing this at all. And I guess a case can be made to say, why are you even doing this? Is this something you have to do? Does Goodman have to do it? But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this something they have to do, or should they just say this is? I think tainted. This is so tainted.
Amount of money. Like somebody took, how much is it? 85,000? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, 85,000. Yeah.
Okay, so that money's gone. So what good does it do to rob a Kickstarter backer today of that money and divert it to somebody?
I got an answer for you, Greg. It had nothing to do with Goodman Games. It had zero to do to Goodman Games. It's all about Judges Guild. However, the only recourse the backer has, only leverage that the backer have to make themselves whole over the Kickstarter is by pressuring Goodman Games. It's a shit show, okay? Technically, you're right. The Goodman Games and all the people who say Goodman Games, it's not their problem.
Mm-hmm.
But we live in a real world where you have to make do with the tools you have, and the only tools that the backer has, or anybody looking on this who thinks the backers ought to be made whole, is by pressuring Goodman Games. That's why.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, it's not like the money is being made whole from a legit, like it was the person who rip them off is giving them the 85. All you're doing is like, what is that? Your charity? It's charity. You're transferring this money. Why not just
Hold on.
reduce
Did
the
you
price
hear
of
the
the
part?
Kickstarter so nobody continues to have to pay this money?
Hold on. Did you hear the part? It's coming from the royalties that Goodman Games owes Judges Guild.
Yeah, this isn't any extra money they're pulling out. They're not
Right.
charging the backers any extra money at all.
Okay, I guess I don't understand these royalty arrangements.
Okay, if I make 100,000, if I have a contract with Mike Co. and I say, Mike Co, for in exchange for your IP, I'm going to pay you 10% of the money I get from the Kickstarter. And Mike said, sure, Rob, that sounds great. So now I put out a Kickstarter and I make $100,000. And let's just say that all the fees, I'm left with $90,000. And I go to Mike, okay, here's your $9,000. I'm sorry, I have $90,000 left on the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I go to Mike and I say, here's your $9,000 check. But before all that happened, Mike turns out that the state comes to me and Mike's been a deadbeat paying his wife alimony. And they say, dude, that's not your money. It has to go into an escrow. So Mike's wife has to be paid. So I take that $9,000 and deposit it in his escrow.
Oh, okay. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were just taking money from a different person. I'm
No.
like,
No.
This is the way it should be done. This so like I said, that this is. It seems to me like they're trying to answer all the questions that people were really upset about. I mean, it comes down to, look, some people are never going to be happy with this, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what Goodman says or does, and I understand that. There's some people just never going to be good with this, and they don't want anything to do with it. And I mean, I'm not going to buy it. I mean, I'm a huge Borderlands fan. I'm not going to buy it. I may pirate it. It's pirateable. I'll pirate it, but I'm not going to buy it. So I understand that. I understand some people just want nothing to do with it. But I think he's, on paper at least, he has said the right things. Now, what happens is a different story. I mean, I don't know what's actually going to happen. He said a lot of things that sound good. I'd love to see.
I think Goodman okay, so when I signed my contract with him to do my Points of Light, I opted to keep the rights, to which he gave me two options: pay me a lump sum, but he gets everything, or I get to keep the rights to my material and he pays me a royalty, but he doesn't pay me any lump sum.
Right.
Okay, so I opted for the royalties and keeping the rights. I can't use the term Point of Light, that's his, but the text of the book and the maps are mine. And
I've heard other people use Points of Light. I don't think that's a trademark issue at all.
well, when it comes to this particular project, I can't. I agree not to use Points of Light as a title for a series of settings.
Okay.
But it's standard. I had a lawyer check it over. It's all standard stuff,
Okay.
and I'm fine with it. So that means from 2009 to now, 15 years, I've been getting royalties. And, I'm small potatoes compared to his larger business. Yet Joe has kept up, and every year or sometimes every 2 years, sometimes I forget to collect, we would get together on email, sometimes by phone, and he would get me my $20 check for what I'm owed. And he was always upfront about that. And so I believe if he says he's going to do this, he is going to try to do this. I think the problem is that there's going to be a slice of the hobby, given the conduct of the Bledsaw since the revelation, that are never going to accept that it's acceptable to dealing with them.
I agree, Rob. I think you're right.
And I don't think that some of them are going to be unreasonable under any circumstances, but there's going to be a large slice that are otherwise reasonable people that says, no, given this, they are not good people to deal with unless the IP, the only solution for them is somebody else owns the IP.
Yeah. Gee, that's how I feel about WotC right now too. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend any money with them until they give away the IP or sell it or license it out because I'm tired of their garbage too. Well,
Don't give
there's
them
some
any
people
money,
that,
Mike.
like, to be. I'm sorry, Greg. What'd you say?
Remember our conversation before? Stop giving them money. You
I
keep
don't
giving
give.
them money.
Okay, you're right. You're not wrong. But I bought something. It was on sale at Games Plus. I don't even know if they probably already had the money for that in their pocket. So I don't know. I don't know if they profited from me buying the Demon Idol from Games Plus at $20 or whatever. But maybe they did. I don't know.
You're the only one keeping them in business. as
I
far
know
as
it's
I know.
me. It's all me.
All you, Mike.
I'm buying those discounted tchotchkes at Games Plus, and it's all on me. I understand. Speaking of which, I heard the sales are in the crapper for the new version, but wait, we weren't talking about that.
Well, hey, let's
It's
get
too
about Wizards.
bad.
I know I complained about it, but this whole thing with Judges Guild. I mean, it still hurts in many ways. I mean, but if we want to bitch about Wizards, I'm not going to complain about this time.
Well, I mean, it's like anything gets. I mean, it's like anything that gets ruined like that. It hurts, and it just gives like sports teams. I mean, God, I know. Probably Eric over there is probably, cursing the Jets every chance he ever gets because of all the horrible mistakes their management has made over the past 50 years. But and I'm sure that hurts him because it hurts me when my sports franchises do just absolute screw ups. But I mean,
dude, when I have to look back fondly to Chad Pennington, I mean that
go all the way back to Joe Namath. I mean, good Lord.
Vinny Testaverde. I mean, we're going back like 20 years.
Well, how about we briefly touch on good news? Osric 3 is up to $123,000.
Holy shit!
Really?
And I'm back with it. Yes,
Nice.
and people are talking about Osric 3 and AD&D again. Osric always had that.
I heard in our text group there, Rob. I'm not going to name names, but somebody said the music in the video sucked.
What?
I am not a metal fan. I'll be upfront about it. I do not like metal.
I'm just saying. I haven't even watched the video, so.
I mean, the video layout, the choreography, I guess. I don't know what you call it, but
was this going to be the next big Shadow Dark / OSE / I don't know how many retro clones we have out there that have hit it big. So
what's the difference between this and prior versions? Just minor edit?
tweak. There's some tweaking, and so they changed. I think so.
It's closer to AD&D.
Right. When Osric first came out, they were like I said in our show this Wednesday, the importance of Matt Finch cannot be overestimated in the history of the OSR when you look at it. Because when you look at what he did with Osric, everything flows from that. After Osric came Labyrinth Lord, came Swords of Wizardry, came Basic Fantasy Roleplay. I mean, everything came from that. But when he put that together, it was still an absolutely untested concept. They were very careful not to copy AD&D too closely, because although they knew that they could do it, they didn't want to give them too much information, or too much ammunition,
right?
To say, oh, this is you just republished AD&D. So there's lots. If you look at it, there's lots of little changes in there. There's lots of little things from AD&D first edition, the first version of Osric, and so I think now it's been 15 years. Or 20 years almost. I think that they're not really that worried about.
Yeah, they used to bitch about 10 years ago on like Knights and Knaves and stuff. It's like, fucking hell, what are these retro clones doing? We were careful. They're not being careful at all. And now I guess Matt Finch go, well, they didn't get sued. I guess we can have our AD&D true, instead of being 95% closed, we're going to make it 99% pure.
Because
we're going to make it 18 karat.
It's good marketing, Rob, because WotC doesn't care anymore, and they know that WotC doesn't care, and WotC's not checking. Look, there was a lot of paranoid people back in that time, 2005, 6, 7, that I'm thinking there was a very real fear that even though technically this is legal, we can do this. We can't fight WotC's lawyers if they decide to do a C&D or they decide to sue us. And like I said,
And they were getting static from the industry and the community. Like people like Clark Peterson had very harsh words about what happened with Osric.
well, I think Clark was wrong. I think he's been proven wrong too. And I think a lot of so-called experts were proven wrong as time went on. Because Eric knows this, and there's a lot of industry veterans out there that were, oh my gosh, we're never going to publish anything under Swords and Wizardry or Ostrich or whatever. We'll be shut down. Oh my gosh, any day now, WotC is going to roll in there and shut this all down. And we are going to have nothing to do with any of these retro. These retro clones are ridiculous. They're crazy. They're illegal. Yada yada. And they were wrong. They're all wrong.
And now we're like the size of several mid-sized normal companies. Between Frog Gods, you, and Lamentations of the Frame Princess. Now, Kelsey's company, whose name.
Well, just look at the last year. I mean, you got Dragon Slayer. You got Greg Gillespie. All his mega dungeons are basically Dragon Slayer now. So, I mean, all his publications. You got OSC. I mean, you've got tons of tinier people. I mean, you got all the little guys. You got Karen and Nave and all these tiny guys too doing the same thing.
Yeah, Castles of Crusades.
Castles of Crusades Castles of Crusades is kind of a different
it's different. It's like DCC is different, but they still fall under that general OSR umbrella. So
and don't forget, Mike, they Troll Lords chose to put Castles of Crusade under the OSR label on Drive-Thru. So just like the DC RPG, if they want to be considered OSR, sure. The only thing I'm pissed about the whole definition of OSR, that Zweihander got snuck a community content program under the OSR banner, and now they have that little strip of the front page of the OSR all to themselves. Well, I got plans to fix that wagon.
Rob, you were old enough. You're old enough to remember when there was a gigantic battle on Dragon's Foot because Troll Lord Games wanted to post some Castle Crusade stuff, and there was probably a 5-month-long battle over whether Castle Crusades is OSR or whether it's old school or not. And eventually they got booted off the page. And they determined it was not. We don't consider this old school at all. And they were basically banned from Dragon's Foot.
The Dragon's Foot, all the OSR stuff is relegated to one subforum.
Well, I'm talking about the very beginning when that first came out. And they said, "Hey, you're about old school D&D. How about Cast Crusades?" And they're like, "No, because you're just 5e in a disguise, and you're gonna not 5e. You're a 3e in a disguise." And there was a big. Oh my gosh, I remember the.
Oh yeah, I remember it. But I'm telling you, Mike, it's not that much change. Yes, they have a subforum with OSR, but if you jump into the AD&D forum and start talking about Osric, boom, those threads are either going to be shut down or moved.
Mm-hmm. I have to admit, I don't go there often enough anymore to know that. Yeah, I just remember the time.
I still keep pay attention to the forums.
You don't have this kind of obscure knowledge, Mike.
Come on,
that's why I'm his AI for all this stuff.
Yeah,
I tell you what, if you want, look, I think Dragon's Foot's still a great resource. I go back there. There is dozens and dozens of uploaded stuff that's professional quality. I think some of the stuff's really good that's been uploaded there. So it's a great resource. I'm glad it's still around as a forum because I miss forums. I really miss forums. Nothing that we have now has taken the place of that. Facebook is absolutely not taking the place of that. Discord is not taking the place of that.
No.
Nothing takes the place of a good forum.
I miss Google Plus.
Yes, Google Plus was
that was the place.
It was too good. It gave people what they wanted.
Greg was the Google Plus hero, man. How many
9,000 people on Google Plus for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I had I wasn't far behind you. There was that woman that was like you could share your circles, and she shared my whatever a couple of times, and it's overnight it's I gained 1,000 followers. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to MeWe was supposed to do that.
MeWe is still there, but man. It is.
The mighty fell there. That was
no. It's split between It's split between Facebook is the best views for the. I post on Facebook. I post on Reddit. I post on the forums, and that's how I get my views.
But Facebook's terrible for any forum like
Yeah.
activity because you can't search anything. Now, I'll tell you what I use Facebook for that works really well is my D&D group. The last 3 campaigns we've run, I've created a Facebook page and we post I post the updates there. I post the replays and stuff. It's great, but those are smaller pages. It's easy to find stuff because you just go back, you can go back, a year or two, but you can't. Oh my gosh, Facebook pages are terrible for trying to find older stuff. It's impossible to find old stuff on Facebook. That's what's great about forums. You can still go to the AKM forum. I still find threads from 20 years ago when I first started posting there about I need to know how much of that digest did Doug and I publish. Oh wait, I think we did a post on ASIM for it. Go there, boom, it's there. I can pull it up in 10 minutes.
I wouldn't discount N-World because they span all the way back to 2003.
That's true. And
they
it's
had,
fun to look at reviews.
At various times, they had some important old school. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Rob's going, this is it. It's the big one.
Oh.
he made me want to take a drink with that. Wow.
Take a drink.
But
Me too. Everybody drink.
I found some of my original posts on Sandbox campaigns from 2006, 2007, when Melon, the guy who writes.
Melon, Gabrielux guy.
Yeah, we were all trying to promote the Waterland box set, and people were asking questions. How do we use it? How do we run this Sandbox thing that people were talking about? And he started the thread and I chimed in, and it was cool reading those posts.
The Blogspot was really great for a while too, except that's just gone now pretty much.
Blogspot's still there. You can still create on
Blog. But it's just nobody uses it anymore though.
Well, I don't post as much anymore, but when I do a post, I still get a couple hundred views. And if I do a widespread, look at this post I made on Blogspot, it goes up to 3,000 or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty good. Dang.
But the thing is, like with the blogs, and I think I've said this elsewhere, but I still have 10 Cars Tavern. Now Blogspot hosts it. Blogger hosts it, I should say.
Blogger.
But that's a Google company. But go back 10 years, I was doing traffic that would occasionally challenge N-World. I was up if you ranked using the old service Alexa, you would see
We're using you as an aggregator.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you could see that my traffic was very close to N-World. Blew my mind. Now,
by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. But okay, go on, Eric.
But now they are so far apart because my traffic on my blog has dried up by like 80%.
Yeah.
It's the way of the world. Times change.
Well, if you listen to what people complain about, I think it reveals the tension is people are tired of being moderated. They hate being moderated by Facebook. They hate being moderated by forum hosts. That's why people refer so negatively to RPGNet. People are so sick of being moderated. They'd rather be free. To me, that's the biggest advantage of posting on Twitter is that, unless I break a law or something, I'm not going to get moderated. And people just don't want to have somebody deciding, oh, your post is too much for this. The whole thing that happened with the OSR group on Facebook. Eric,
which I'm blocked from, by the way. I think Eric is too. We're blocked from that group.
I don't think I left it. I don't.
I'm blocked. I'm blocked from the guy who ran it and the group itself.
I actually saw an update. I got a notification that they shared something on Facebook.
Well,
so I guess I'm not.
They
blocked.
like you better than me because I'm absolutely blocked. I did say some stuff about him though.
Okay, so this gentleman named Alex Schroeder, he created what he called a planet. You can sign up your blog to the planet. So if all of you are missing the OSR blog and just have trouble finding them, note the. I'll send Eric the link to this, but this is your ticket. I'm
I
on it.
remember Schroeder.
Everybody,
Yeah.
Chicago Wiz is still posting.
Wow, I
Okay.
used to love it. Boy, I loved his stuff. Yeah.
So if you want your daily dose of OSR blogging, the the old school RPG Planet is your ticket.
Okay.
I just got to figure out now why it's not showing up on my blog feed. I had it.
Nothing better was in the wild woolly days of Blogger, or actually back then Blogspot, when you would get up every morning and you go through your feed and you'd read your 15 blogs and probably find 5 or 6 great ideas. You're like, wow, these are really, really good ideas that these guys are sharing. And that was like every day. It was so great. It was so great. Bat in the Attic, Rob's blog, I'd go there. I'd go to Grognardia. I'd go to Chicago Wiz. I'd go to Jeff, what's the Jeff Wrights? There's like 5. I would go. Heck, I'd go to Zach Smith's. With your
the
ex
reason.
or whatever he called his blog, and Raggy had one. I mean, I hit all those every day. It was great. Just the amount of it, and people were just sharing stuff for free. Remember back then, it was all, oh, here I made this 25-room dungeon. Here, so you just download this for free, and they just
Well,
it was free
in all
stuff.
fairness, I still blog occasionally. I admit not nowhere near as frequently, but if you look at my post that I made yesterday, there's a link to a SRD for my travel rules.
Hmm.
So it's still there. It's just it's overwhelmed by you blasted YouTubers and and the people posting on Reddit and Facebook, but it's still there. I wouldn't say it's thriving, but it's just not in the radar. What's up? I hear furious typing.
Oh, Mike, he's having technical issues with him sitting in.
That was me typing. Sorry, I
Oh,
was
and
writing.
also on my blog, folks, there is something new. I went through all my posts where I talk about how sandbox campaigns can be run, managed, and stuff like that, and I consolidated on a single page of my blog called "Managing Sandbox Campaign." So it's a
Only you wrote a
all-in-one.
book about such issues, Rob.
Well, Greg, it's interesting because it's interesting that you say that because for the longest time, I had a pretty good idea, like with my how to make a fantasy sandbox, how to write about aspects of what I do with sandbox campaign, but I never had a good idea in my head on how to tie it all together. But thanks to that stupid debate I had on N World, I think I got something. And once I get done with my current slated project, that is going on the freaking list.
I was going to say,
I'm going to call it. It's going to be called "How to Run Living World Sandbox." I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to go around and say my way is the way to do sandbox campaign. No, I'm going to present. I have a way of running sandbox, and my approach. I'm going to call it Living World. And if you like it, go ahead. But I think most of you will find that you like this part, like that part, and that part, and that's great too. And I'm going to talk about it, and it's going to all work together. And I hopefully it will inspire people with their own take on their own variant.
How many little snippets in the sidebar or at the bottom of the page are we going to have for Zakar the Destroyer? I'm thinking he needs to be a recurring character throughout the book, Rob.
Well, you know what? I think you and I can talk about that because I'm going to have to pick your brains about what leapt out at you, and then maybe I'll do that. I think that's not a bad idea.
Well, all I'm gonna say is hopefully Fugly was joking last night, maybe not joking, that he's working on a Ten Cars Tavern coloring book.
oh boy.
Mike, you're in it. You're in it multiple
Of course,
times.
I'm in it. Yeah, I didn't give my
I'm in
permission.
it multiple times. We
I
showed.
gave no permission, Fugly. None.
Did you see Greg's picture from earlier today?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I mean, I saw one. By the way, Fugly, you got to send me a copy of this one. I saw one last night. Rob saw it too, I believe.
Yeah.
With Jim me and you in the same. You're the devil. Jim is the Pope in his chair,
Mhm.
and I think I was just a court jester or something like that.
Boy, how the mighty have fallen! Wow.
I know. I was like, but
Eric's
no,
just a
no,
side. He's just a sidekick now.
yeah, just a sidekick.
I was gonna say where I actually hit a button and knocked myself off, like I've done 3 times. And I was gonna say YouTube is another thing, another way of not preserving anything, because I was reading a big article on YouTube about how in the way they do content now, your content eventually disappears off YouTube because they've had people trying to find older YouTube videos and they're gone. And they're gone. YouTube takes them down when they reach a certain level of nobody watches this anymore. Now it doesn't always happen, but there's been YouTubers have noticed a lot of their content has disappeared off YouTube. So even YouTube isn't forever anymore.
Mike, are you telling me that letting another company run all of your data processing for you might be some kind of problematic situation?
It's weird.
With
It's shocking
that
and
seems
weird.
really weird.
Yeah, it just. I mean, it's funny because I mean I know people like to talk about the good old days. Boy, the good old days, this and that. But honestly, the way forums worked, I mean, that really was the good old days. The way it is now is not anywhere. I guess the closest you could come is Discord, and even Discord's really not very good for preserving stuff at all.
Well,
you can't find anything.
I'm only picking RPG Pundit here because it's well known for RPG site and so on. I have no beef with him, but you know, let me pose it to you this way: Mike. Would you want all of your role playing game conversations to be under the control of whether or not they make the RPG Pundit happy or sad about your posts?
Well, I don't
That's
like
why
that.
there's all this fracturing, is because people don't want to be underneath the thumb of anyone else.
But I'm also a member of the Achaeum, which I think I'm a 25-year member there now, and I could find the first post I ever made there. It's still on there. They don't do any. There's nothing there. There's no politics at all there. It's just about collecting old D&D stuff. I can find conversation unless somebody deletes the conversation, which you could still do. You can still go back and delete things, but it's amazing the stuff the wealth of information there. I think Dragon's Foot to me is the same way. I go back and I find. I'll Google in something, and the reference will be go to Dragon's Foot, and I'll go there and go and find a thread that's just really great. I'm like, oh, here's an entire thread on B2 Keep of the Borderlands extra encounters. I mean that's the kind of knowledge that's great to have around forever. That we're just slowly losing right, left, and forward because
that's the kind of thing you got to feed into Rob AI. So you got to look that stuff up, feed it, train Rob AI on that kind of stuff, and then it could just write infinite output for you, Mike.
There you go.
We need to look into that, definitely.
But Greg, you're slipping. I mentioned Rob AI first, so
you
you got to be better next time.
I even made a little image for my avatar of Rob AI that's even more vicious and scary than my previous one, and I got a new camera now. I don't even use the avatar, so
well.
Who is the guy?
I am. My heart bleeds for you,
Eric. Who is the guy who recently retired from YouTube, and he had been posting for like 15 years, and it was all D&D stuff, and I can't remember his name. I mean, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was real big for a while, huge, and he just got to the point where he said he probably talked about everything he could ever think to talk about. But he was a force on YouTube for like a decade, and posting D&D videos, and so he talked about. So he was such a he at one point he had so many subscriptions. He went to the YouTube headquarters because they have these meetings with their largest subscribers, and they say, look, here's how we think you can get more subscribers. Here's how we think you can fix your channel. So he goes into a meeting with them last year. They said, look, we just want to let you know it's time to kill your channel. And he's like, what do you mean? He said, well, it's just not you've reached the apex and now you're going down. And once you start going down, you don't go back up again. So what we tell creators to do is you need to start another channel, and not only do you need to start another channel, it needs to be about something that you're interested in that isn't this. You can't do another D&D world building channel, whatever he had. And so it was really interesting. It was a very interesting video he made about the nuts and bolts of how YouTube basically kills your channel because they have obviously they have an algorithm that if you don't watch something for a while, it falls farther and farther down, and at a certain point it falls away. You can't even find anymore. And so he said he was interested in like he was too weird. Like one was he was interested in ancient civilizations, so he was going to start another YouTube page where he and his brother travel across the world and talk. I think it's about ancient battles or something. But his YouTube content it's done. He's not going to do that page anymore. That's what he was known for. He shut the channel down. It's gone. It's still going to be there. But once the algorithm starts driving that farther and farther down, you won't be able to find those videos anymore.
But Mike, the thing is, it's not just his channel; it's RPG channels in general.
Yes.
D&D channels in general are being, I don't want to say throttled, but they are not being pushed like they used to be. They've changed their focus. So
that's why they wanted to know with this guy what he wanted to do. What do you want to do after your D&D channel? After we shut your D&D channel down, what do you want to do? After we decide that we're not going to, your algorithm's never going to put you at the top ever again. We're telling you this right now. What do you want to do? So they were giving him a choice. Like, look, we think you're a good creator. This is just done, though. What you're doing right now is done. It's over. We move on. I mean, if he just said, but no, I want to keep doing D&D. They said, well, fine, but your algorithm is going to just keep pushing you farther and farther and farther down until you're never going to appear on the front page. And a lot of these guys, obviously, I mean, Eric's not one of them, but a lot of them have monetized channels where they're making a pretty good amount of money.
I'm monetized. I just don't make much money.
Well, I'm just talking about, I mean, these are guys that make thousands of dollars.
Oh, these guys are like listen, there are those that pay their mortgage. It's like a second job.
Yeah.
For some, it is their only job. And God bless those that can do so.
I mean, Professor DM's been very upfront about the way he does stuff and about why he has shock title, videos, because he has to have a shock title video every 3 or 4 videos.
And you guys were telling me not to worry, get harlot tables out. I'm telling you, this is how you get the views, man. You gotta tap into that algorithm.
Have you ever watched Clownfish? It's awful. It's god freaking awful. They're the worst YouTube channel in existence, but they make their bones because they have a hot, crazy take on everything. It's over the top. When they start talking, you realize they have zero knowledge about anything they're talking about. They're just throwing out buzzwords and trying to just make it really controversial. But that's been their whole channel for years, Clownfish.
Yeah.
It's absolute. Whenever they talk, and I know this because whenever they talk about something to do with D&D, they have zero knowledge of what they're talking about. Like none. Like my wife could talk as intelligently as they are on the subject, but all they do is throw out buzzwords and controversial bullshit.
Let me propose to you something. So here's what we could do. We could get an AI system to make an AI avatar of a really hot chick, right? Okay,
we're not.
We use another AI system to convert our male voices into hot chick voices, right? Then we have these AI hot chicks deliver our content in their video, and that will bring role playing back in the algorithm.
It's already been tried, and it didn't work because Eric and I did watch the Gen Con channel, and that's what that was, and it failed. It was the most miserable failure I've ever seen. So they've already tried.
So can I show you guys something interesting that I discovered about this Hawaii business?
Yeah.
Okay, so this uses generative AI, but the point is not ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. Whoops, I did the wrong thing to share it. Hold on. What it is a research tool. It's called Notebook LM by Google. So what you do is you can upload Word docs, PDFs, and text files, and it will it's like the cross-referencing thing from hell. So if I wanted to go here and say, please give me a summary of all dark elves or drow in the northern marches.
How is it going to know the difference between drow and dro?
Well, it's text, and since you spell them the same, who gives a shit?
Wow.
Come on.
So it's gonna now. It pops out this summary, But more importantly, if you notice all these little symbols, it will tell you, uh, where to find it in the document, so you can verify its accuracy. And there's several historical YouTube channels that I know of that use this. Like there's this one called World War II Week by Week, and they have a paid version of this, and they uploaded all their videos to this. And anytime that they do a new video, they use this to double check that they said something in the past. So they use this like a huge super table of content to go back. So I know the use of AI is controversial, but stuff like this, it could be this aspect of it can be a really useful tool. And I tried it out on like stuff that I bought from drive-through, like the Third Imperium. So you could, if you're learning about a setting for the first time, you could say, give me a summary on the Imperial Civil War. What the heck? Civil War. So if you have a whole bunch of travelers, PDF, and you want to upload it and give you overviews while you're doing campaign preps, this is cool. And it will give you the link where you can jump in, it will jump into the PDF and show you where it's referencing so you can read up, more about it. So you want to know about the emperors of the flag, what the heck it's talking about there. There it is. So you can look up that section of the book. So I just wanted to show you this tool.
Interesting.
It's kind of new, and it can do like briefing docs. It can create timelines.
Now just make a robot chick and put that in her, and I'm interested because then she'll talk to me
That's
about.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Use the tools for evil. I mean good.
For evil.
Use it for good. Use it for good. That's what I meant to say.
By the way, somebody mentioned Dungeon Bastard. I did a deep dive on Dungeon Bastard the other day. You want to know what Dungeon Bastard's up to? He's in Hollywood now. He's an actor. He does Hollywood. He dumped all the gaming shtick and he was used to be at cons and he'd do his gaming shtick, run games and stuff, and he no longer does that. He is in Hollywood. Look him up find his name, look him up on IMDb. He's a third policeman that enters the room, or he doesn't really have a lot of big parts, but he's doing the Hollywood thing now. So he parlayed his. Oh my God, that picture is great.
I'm going to give you the link to this notebook.
Eric, why are you a midget? In this?
I think he's a jester. I think he's a little midget.
I think I'm the jester. Yeah, jester or whatever. Yeah.
He's a little midget jester. He's trying to make everybody laugh.
I don't see Mike Myrtles in this anywhere.
No, Mike's not part of the live stream, dude. It's not.
Why would Mike Myrtles be in here?
That was that joke that night when I was getting into it with Jim in the chat.
The Mike Myrtles.
He got really peeved because I said I don't know if I can forgive Mike Myrtles for basically shilling something he didn't believe in, and then as soon as he gets free of it, he goes, "Oh, by the way, the only true way to play is this way." I'm like, wait a minute.
I'm going to give him a pass to that because I've worked for lots of companies where I had to believe something I didn't believe just to get a paycheck, and I just had to smile and nod. Which is, by the way, why I've been working for myself for the last 21 years now, because I couldn't stand it. But I just got the corporate world will do that to you, man. They'll just drive you down, make you say things you don't believe.
I love working for a corporation. It was the goal of my life, and I have no complaints. Whatever AI is crawling this video to learn my secret views. I love corporations.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've reached we're reaching the witching time. It's almost 2 hours. My God.
Oh yeah.
Folks. By the way, I owe everybody oh my God, I didn't do it. I owe everybody an updated Goodman video.
Uh-oh.
Goodman's latest. That'll be tomorrow. The Judges Guild video came out today. Live stream tomorrow with Rach and I at 8 p.m. Thank you to Zach for sponsoring the live streams. We're happy to take more sponsors for the live streams, by the way. But other than that, if you are a
How
member,
much does it cost to sponsor a live stream, Eric?
I believe the cost to sponsor all the live streams by Gamers Health for a month is, I believe, $25. But I think it's 25 or 30. I'm not 100% sure.
That is a reasonable price that many could easily pay. Just a few coffees that they would have to forego.
Yeah, at Starbucks, you'd only have to skip like 2 or 3. But no, the thing is, like, listen, Zach is Zach. So Zach just said, I'm not doing this as Frog God's CFO. I'm just doing this as my personal level. But if you've got a company, you got a link you want us to put up, and it's not like, adult only, we're happy to do so. You'll be up for at least half a stream. Today it was ridiculous. Zach's up for the full stream, but he should have been in here abusing us, but he wasn't. So that's his own fault.
That's his missed opportunity right there.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Thank you for letting me on, folks. I appreciate.
Thank you for jumping in.
For the, I look, if there's only 2 of you on there, I'll always jump in because, I mean, Greg and Rob, that was going to be a snooze fest. So.
Yeah, me. I'm.
Yeah, Mike. If you could stick around afterwards, I want.
Uh-oh. I'm going to get rid of the riot act, aren't I?
No. I think I know. Folks, as always, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Roll them well. Catch many of you tomorrow. How's that sound? All right, folks.